Welcome, 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 welcome to another Rise and Thrive, where our goal is to help you to rise from just surviving mode and thrive. And so this is our Financial Friday. Woo, woo, woo,
Oh
woo.
yeah.
Financial Friday. And so our goal is to get our grinders engaged so that you can live a life of financial freedom. Yes.
Yes.
Money don't tell you where to go on vacation. You know,
Yeah.
you decide where you want to go, and then you go. But your money don't decide where you want to go. Isn't that a great life to have like that, where you
Yes.
don't have to pick places based on your income or how much money you have? That you can just pick a place where you want to go because that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what
a
I mean?
good feeling to have. That's always a good feeling to have.
Yeah.
And in that way, you can enjoy life a little bit easier.
Yeah, you don't have to look for the cheapest flights. I mean, you still want to be wise in your spending,
Yeah.
but a lot of times I like to fly Delta, and they owe me some money for saying that. I like to fly Delta because it's easy for me to use the points. My points accumulate quickly, and it's easy for me to use them. The app is real user friendly. I can upgrade to Comfort Plus, and so I like Delta, but I don't always fly Delta because Delta doesn't always have the price that I want. And so being able to have financial freedom, you can go where you want to go and fly who you want to fly and stay at the hotel you want to stay at and accumulate your points and enjoy the service that you like. There are certain hotels that I like that the service is good and their beds are comfortable. I'm very picky with mattresses. And so having financial freedom where you can just go where you want to go and fly where you want to fly, and it's a great feeling when you say so.
Yes. It is a good feeling. I also too like Delta. I think I like Delta. I want to say I use American often. I think I use American more often than not. And I think Delta. I can't even tell you which one is better off the top of my head. Do Delta got the individual screens inside all the back the headrest?
Well, it depends on what flight you're on. So depends on what plane you're on, because they all the planes. I end up flying American a lot too, and I think that's probably because they have a lot of flights out of Milwaukee, and United as well. But it depends on the plane, because sometimes I can leave Milwaukee and I can have a a television in the back of my seat, and then I get on the flight coming back, and there is no television. You know, I mean, no
Yeah, I don't.
screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And there are some flights I can get on, and they have a plug right there by the seat where I can plug up and charge my phone. But then some flights don't have it, and so it just depends on the plane, I believe, that they're using to transport you at the time. But it's
okay.
all about financial freedom. No
Yeah,
stress, no strain, no struggle. Ain't that right? No
yes,
stress, no stress, no strain, no struggle. Being able to just not be wasteful with your money, but be able to have money so that you can make the choices that you want to make.
yes. And the fun part about that is if we was to if we had to go downtown, let's say we gotta fly out of town, or you have to. But wouldn't it be better if you had the money that could afford it versus you saying, let me see what I can do. Let me see how I can maneuver what I got to make it work versus the person who's saying, let's just go, right? The emotion is still there, but the stress of trying to make it work isn't there because you have enough money to back up what you want to do. So I agree with you. It's not about being able or not able to just make it happen. It's the stress that goes along with that.
Yeah, yeah,
And if we can reduce the stress that goes along with doing stuff, because like I said in the beginning and now, life happens. Life always gonna happen. But when we have those emergencies, it's better that we have money already set aside for the emergencies versus us not having that money set aside. And now we're jumping through all these hoops. We're putting ourselves behind even more than what we may be just to try to make it work.
okay, and that's important because Oftentimes what we don't really realize, and I say this, correct me if I'm wrong, all right, but I say this all the time. This is what I've learned, that when you're in a financial situation, you either have to increase your income or downsize your living.
Yes.
There's no in between.
Yeah, there's one.
Yeah, and so if you don't have enough to do what you need to do, then you either need to increase your income or downsize your living. And a lot of times people don't want to increase their income. I mean, they want increase, but they don't want to increase their income by doing what's necessary to increase. Because last week we talked about a lot of quick money things that you can do, but none of those quick money things that we talked about last week are things that you can watch. I say Gunsmoke all the time, but we in the younger generation, they don't know what Gunsmoke is. Do you even know what Gunsmoke is?
No.
You don't know what Gunsmoke is?
I think about YouTube. I think like YouTube. Like if you say YouTube, I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, Gunsmoke is an old school show that my grandmother and them used to watch, and then I end up watching. But whatever the new show is nowadays, I don't know what the new show is. A couple years ago, it was Power,
Empire.
But Empire. So the point that I'm making is, many people want to be able to sit back and enjoy watching television and just relaxing in their home, but yet they're struggling financially, and they don't realize that there are certain seasons in our lives, and in some of those seasons, we may have to pick up an extra, job, or we may have to do some of those, quick money things that we did in those seasons. It doesn't have to last forever, but the goal is we have to be able to stack that cash so that we have it. And it's not, a lot of times when people get extra income, like income tax is a perfect example. The average family doing income tax, they get their income tax and it's gone before the month is over. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so that's money that you literally didn't know that was coming. You might have knew you was having income tax, but you didn't know the exact amount until they did your taxes. But that money can literally be put up stacked on the side, and even if that's all you did and took that now and begin to use that, you won't make a lot of money on $3,000 or $5,000 as far as interest and things of that sort. But that would be a nice start, like if you took it and you bought you a CD with it, by next year this time, it'd at least be worth more than what it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so getting that, you said it earlier, getting that mindset, and I've learned this. I saw it on a video. I don't know if it was the one Deacon Boone posted or not, but I never will forget it. He said that, I'm just gonna say it. Our African Americans have a definition of happiness is spending money, and so in order for them to feel happy, they spend, and so that's a mindset. We have to redefine, what happiness is. Happiness for me is seeing them digits in the bank, being able to look at that statement and seeing that money right there, even though I might want something. When we talked about, the different things we've talked about so far that caused me to decide to wait for getting another vehicle, I'm really glad that I did, because now we're targeting some other things to pay off, and I'm getting ready to start a business now, so that I can be able to fold a vehicle up under the business, where I can still end up getting me another vehicle, but it would come up under the business, and the business would be taking care of it. You know what I'm saying? And so, but I wouldn't be on this road if it wasn't for Financial Fridays. Re-educating myself and changing my mindset.
Yeah.
You agree with me?
I agree with you. I agree with you because, man, it's funny how sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and once you know, you like, I want to know so much more about that. I
Right.
remember I was talking to Brother Ephraim, and he was telling me just more information about like how do you structure a loan and how you structure your deals, and I was like, man, I never thought about it like that. I want to know more. I was talking to one of my brothers, Carl, and he was telling me about the way in which how he used different avenues in order to get money to help finance his real estate.
Okay.
And I was like, bruh, that's a new avenue. I didn't know about that. And I, who've been a grinder in real estate, hey, I need to know how you know, and I need to know what you know. So I mean, it's the going back and forth that allows us to be able to grow.
Mhm.
And one big thing that I always like to tell people is that you don't have to do what I'm doing. Do what you're already predisposed to doing.
Well, that's the power of networking. That's the power of networking. And not necessarily I don't do what you're doing, but what you're doing I could chip off of that and apply it to what I'm doing and make something that I'm doing work even better and more profitable. And so that's the whole idea behind collaboration and networking. And a lot of times we don't see that. Unfortunately, unfortunately, a lot of times we are like we use high school scenarios. We are freshmen, but we want to hang out with the seniors. So we dismiss the freshmen and the sophomores, and we're trying to hang out with the seniors, and the seniors don't want to be bothered with the freshmen because you're not there yet. And
Yeah.
oftentimes, instead of us networking and collaborating on the levels that we are, we're trying to hang out with seniors and we're dismissing the people on the levels that we are, where we can be able to iron sharpen iron, break off a couple different ideas and advance ourselves to the freshman level. Did that make sense or that was too deep?
No, that makes sense. I understand exactly what you're talking about. I,
Well, listen, we got
that's easy.
grinders out there. Good evening, grinders. We got Deacon Boone tuned in with us tonight. What's going on, Deke? And we got Tiffany Thomas. Good to see you. Not see you, but thank you for being on here to Financial Fridays, where our goal is to help you to create financial freedom. And so tonight we're talking about work week. We're talking about, being willing, and the key word is being willing to supplement your income to get to that next level or get to that next place. And a lot of times, when I talk to people, when I suggest that they would do something like that, they dismiss it right away, even though they're in a financial position that they really need to. You know what I mean? But they would dismiss it right away. They ain't working on another job. They ain't trying to work no more. But they don't understand that sometimes in a certain season that you're in, that's a good option.
Yeah.
If I could work a second job for a year and stack all of that money from that second job, part-time, of course, not two full-time jobs. And let's say at the end, what is a full-time job worth? 25,000, 30,000 a year?
Yeah. You can get there. You can get there with a nice
If
job.
I did that and I stacked that cash for the whole year, I don't spend none of my second job money. At the end of the year, having 30,000 in the bank, and then being able to now leave that full-time job and then explore some other options. That's a great position to be in.
Yes, it is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, listen, we're talking about work week. We're talking about work week tonight
Yes.
and the importance of doing what you got to do in the season that you're in. And so, your best days are always ahead of you. And so it don't have to be forever,
Yeah.
but you got to be willing to do what you got to do in the season that you're in, because you don't have to struggle and strain and suffer through waiting for things to get better. Sometimes you have to be more aggressive and you have to attack it. Somebody say approach the enemy before the enemy approaches you, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about work week. We're talking about, taking a different look at and changing your perspective about options. All throughout Financial Friday, that's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about different options. We talked about options when you're using coupons, options going to food pantries. We talked about options with using CDs to save money, money market. We talked about, we really, in a nutshell, been talking about all the different options that you have to move forward to a place of financial freedom. And some of those things may not have been your cup of tea, but I know we unhit something. We unhit something that you can do. And then last week with that, quick money. What do we call it? Fast money?
Quick money.
Quick money.
Yeah, quick money.
That quick money is so much you can do. However, it means that you're going to have to sacrifice maybe some things that you like. You're not going to be able to lay around the house and watch TV. When you watch TV, somebody told me years ago, when you spend your time watching TV, you're literally watching the people on TV get paid. Because they get paid to be on TV. Right? Right?
I never thought about it like that. I never
paid to be on TV. You ain't getting paid to watch them. You literally watching them get paid. So listen, it's time for us to get up off the couch and stop being a spectator in this thing called life and become a participator. And the whole idea of grinding, when you say a grinder, tell us again your definition of a grinder.
So a grinder is a person who works diligently in a single pinpoint focus to become the best at what they're doing. So if you're a seamstress, you're grinding to become proficient at what you do. Then you're grinding to become effective at what you do. Then you're still grinding to make sure anything that deals with seaming or sewing that you know about and that you can use that to your advantage. And you can help others because you're the best at what you do.
Okay, now let's throw a little monkey wrench in there because you said something to me the other day. I think it was yesterday. You said something to me that really caught me, and we ain't had time to talk about it because you had an appointment you had to be at. Did you get there on time?
It was raining, so I was about 5 minutes late.
All right, okay, all right. But listen, this is what you said. You said that there was a difference between a grinder and a hustler.
Yeah. Oh, no. I say that all the time. Okay. I think that is the best part about what we do. And I think that's one of the best things that I talk about when I was talking about it and I was trying to teach it. I think hustlers have the ability to do a lot more than grinders. Grinders can go deeper. Hustlers can go more horizontally. So if you think about the difference between a hustler and a grinder, a hustler can spread off and do 10 different things, and they could be proficient at 10 different things. But a grinder is going to drill down, and they're going to be the expert in that one field.
Okay.
So that's the difference. That's why a lot of hustlers have grinder friends, and a lot of grinder friends have hustlers.
Okay.
Because I may be covering just financial literacy, but I may have a hustler who's a friend of mine who did financial literacy, real estate. He's doing stocks and bonds. He's doing Uber Eats and he's doing Uber Drive. He got DoorDash on his pocket. He did 2 Lyft services. And I may ask a question like, 1, how are you doing that? 2, how do your time schedule look? 3, what is your work schedule? Because I know mine. Mine is I'm doing this and then I'm doing this and I got this course. Their work schedule is I got these 5 things in the morning, I got 2 more at night, and I got 4 more things going on. Okay. While they're juggling all of that, I'm focusing on being proficient and being an expert at what I'm doing. Okay. So even though it seems like one may be better than the other, unless you know who you are, it's good to be who you are. I'm a grinder, but Hey, my hat's off to a bunch of hustlers out there.
Self pedaling. You trying to stay in the safe zone. No, because you heard the term jack of all trades and master of none.
Oh yeah,
Okay, that's a hustler.
yeah, that's a hustler.
Okay, well that's not a good thing, you know. And I'll go even further than that. And full transparency, that's I'm a hustler, and that's why I have not had the level of success that I could achieve because I'm a hustler. In that, I'm doing a lot of things across the board that bring in several things, and it's sustaining my life and helping me to go forward. However, with a grinder, when the grinder goes deep, what the grinder taps into in totality can really equal or surpass all of the different things that I'm doing. Now, I'm not saying now that we shouldn't have multiple streams of income, but I am saying when you're a hustler, when you're doing this, and this, and this, and this, a grinder had time for his family. A hustler, it's gonna be hard for a hustler to have time for his family. A grinder will go get his car washed, but a hustler, they have a little hard, ain't got time to get his car washed. So there is a difference there, and I think the vantage point would be that a grinder, once they go deep and solidify a certain field of expertise, and then branch out and begin to build and have multiple things, I think that way is more profitable than because each week I'm hustling, you know what I'm saying? But what happened when I get older now? I don't want to run like that no more. But with a grinder, you want to establish that thing, and that thing is residual. That thing is it's coming while you sleep. It's coming while you sleep. So anyway, that's my take on it. That's my take. Then what was the initial reason for starting this podcast? I love it. The initial reason for starting this podcast was that as a pastor, I saw many other people in our church struggling financially, and they had enough just for them, but they didn't really have enough, and so I saw different habitual things that people were doing that they may or may not been aware of that was causing them to waste a lot of money. And so when I connected with James and I found out that he was very good when it comes to money, like he said, he's a grinder. We started it on a 90-day challenge. Yes. We had a 90-day challenge, and we said for 90 days, every Friday, we're going to teach you something about finances. So at the end of the 90 days, we would have financial freedom. And the 90 days ended, but James wouldn't let it go. So I don't know what day we're on now. And so we might be doing, because we got a book coming out next month. Yes. Supposed to be this. Yes. It's going to be next. It's coming out. And it's coming out. How to make six figures. Yeah. Is that the name of it?
That's the name of it. How to make six figures.
How to make six figures. And then we're going to be talking about that on Fridays. We're going to be going through that. And so I don't know if Financial Fridays is ever going to end, but that's how we started. Did I say that all right?
Yeah.
Bob Burns said, can you be a grinder hustler? Okay, a grinding hustler. Now, I like that. Yes, we're going to adopt that. I don't care what James say. We're going to adopt that because that's where I'm going now. I'm a hustler, but I need to be a grinder for more stability in establishing things that are going to be, residual, that's going to passive, that's going to keep, while I'm sleeping is going to be making money. And so, yes, I'm a grinding hustler. That's what I am. Yeah.
Okay. If I,
So, so let's hear what James say. James, I want you to give me your honest opinion. Uh, the he asked the question: is there a grinding hustler? So what's your take on that? And don't be scared to answer neither.
oh my goodness, no. I think the but hold on now. I do want to say this in honesty. So you could be a grinder and then move to another field, but you can't be a grinder hustler because that means that you're digging deep in multiple areas all at the same time. And the difference about being a hustler and a grinder is that if something don't work for a hustler, they'll switch up and start doing something else because that's not moving. To be a grinder means if something's not working, you finna dig deep, break up the hard rock, and you finna keep grinding it out. That's a grinder.
Okay, hold on. Now that's very good. That's very good, and I do agree with that to a certain extent. However, because I am a hustler, I am through Financial Fridays. The things that I've been learning is I've been learning a grinder's mentality. So I don't have every area of my life as a grinder, but I am working now as a result of Financial Friday on a grinding area that I am going to grind. I'm going to stay in there with that, and that's going to be what I'm going to do, even though I'm going to still have my other hustles going on. So I'm a grinding hustler. That's right. Yeah.
I think it's easier for a grinder to switch into a new field that may seem like they're hustling because like once you master a field or once you it's like planting. Once I plant a tree and that tree is growing, I can go and plant another tree.
Right, and I agree with that. I would agree
and cultivate that.
That doesn't mean And the grinder would have multiple streams of income because he would have multiple things that he's grinding out, but he establishing those things, thing by thing, where a hustler has multiple things going on. But with the multiple things going on, a hustler does have the capacity to establish one thing that he's grinding out. Wait a minute, hold up now. Mr. Effort had a question on there. He says, what he said, can a grinder develop a hustler's mindset?
Yes.
Also, so a grinder could be a grinder with a hustler's mindset, but you're saying a hustler can't be a grinder?
It's harder for a hustler to become a grinder.
Okay, I agree with that. That is hard because I want to move from one thing to the next thing because that's how I go. So I do admit that it's harder, but it is possible that a hustler can be a grinder. I mean, that you can be a grinding hustler.
Yes, it is very possible for a hustler to dig deep and become a grinder. It's a lot easier for a grinder to move because a grinder is going to stay in the field until it is cultivating.
That's right.
Once whatever they're grinding is cultivating, they don't have to stay there. So they do have the option of starting something else. But whatever they start, they probably going to grind again inside whatever they're doing. So it's easier for a grinder to get something started, leave it and say it is good, and then start something else.
Right.
It's a lot easier doing that.
Yeah, because a grinder going to establish it, and they're going to put in place systems.
Correct.
In the system, because that's what we learned throughout the Financial Fridays, in the systems is going to cause it to perpetuate or to continue to go. And so then that's going to free the grinder up to begin to grind out something else where that thing is running this thing. So I do get what you're saying. I do get that. Now,
can a grinder be a hustler? Like, can you be a grinder and then you doing you do from one thing to start off, and now you're doing 10 different things?
No.
I don't think that will work out for a grinder. I think a grinder is better
because the grinder's mentality is different.
Yeah.
So it probably wouldn't work out for a grinder, but the question is not the grinder. The question is, can it be a grinding hustler? And,
Oh no.
and so watch this now. I'm saying that if I'm doing 5 different things as a hustler, I can decide that one of those 5 things that I'm doing, I'm going to grind out. I'm going to stay with that thing until it establishes a system while I'm still hustling with them 4 other things.
Yes. Okay. In that regards, yes, you can be a grinding hustler.
Yeah. Back to me. You know, it's rough hustling after a certain age. That's what I'm talking about, Minister Pfeiffer. You know, because after a while, see, a hustler, you know, it's going to be a little rougher now because he ain't going to want to keep on, you know, running, you know, doing all these multiple things. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like, you know, for me, I got grandkids now, so it's like, you know, I want to chill with the grandkids. You know, I want to take them to Disney World. I want to be able to use some of that money that I got stored up to enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, I think for me as a hustler, I'm beginning to look at it's time to kind of settle down from the hustling. So now I'm open now to establishing some grinders mentality.
Actually, I just came across this one thing that Brother Ephraim just put down. So Ephraim said, what if a hustler hired grinders at each hustle?
Okay.
That is the funniest thing I've heard because somebody has already done that. His name was Thomas Ford. Thomas Ford was famous about a question that he answered because they said they was asking him like, well, how fast can your vehicles go? How good is your tire pressure? What kind of engines are you using? Is your frame able to do it? And Thomas Ford said, I don't need to know nothing. I just need to know the right people who have all the answers.
Yeah.
And then he pointed to his staff. And I'm like, that's a hustler. That's a hustler who was like, you know what? I don't know nothing about aerodynamics, but I know a dude who studied his life on aerodynamics. Okay. You answer that question. I don't know a whole lot about financing, but I'm gonna hire a dude who can do all of my bills and can make everything work. I'm gonna hire that guy. Okay. And I wholeheartedly agree. A hustler with multiple things, multiple, he got his fingers in multiple things. He can hire a grinder for that one, for those 3, another one, and then because a grinder just likes grinding. It sounds crazy.
So now watch this. Watch this. Let me bust your bubble right now. Let me just bust your bubble right now. You just define a grinding hustler. The hustler himself don't have to grind, but he can get grinders to establish his hustles. Watch out. I'm just gonna leave it alone.
Okay, fine. That's a grinding hustler. Okay. If a hustler hires grinders in each of his hustles, he's a hustling grinder.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a grinding hustler. Yeah, he's a grinding hustler. I think that's a new one. I got to write that down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pose that. Are you a grinding hustler? I'm gonna use that definition too.
Yeah, and that's important though, because every hustler ought to develop a grinder's mentality. Even if he doesn't grind himself, he got to value grinders so that he able to put grinders in the places that he need in order to be able to be profitable in those areas.
I'm gonna use that. You think I'm joking? I'm gonna write that down.
I'm telling you, because like I said, I know I'm a hustler, you know, but I know in this season of my life I need to be a grinder. And you know, I have certain people in my life now. I didn't realize it, that I asked to do certain things that is not my forte to do. You know. Now let me say this. Tiffany, I want to thank you for, you know, continuing the Financial Fridays and being. But listen, why don't you all do us a favor? Let's go a little deeper tonight. We're talking about tonight. First of all, do us a favor and like and share. Why don't you like and share for us tonight? And let's not keep this the best kept secret. Let's help some other people. There are some people out there that's looking for financial freedom, And their answer could be very well, or I would say their answer is Financial Fridays. All right, rise and thrive, because we our goal is to cause you to rise up out of your survival mode and thrive. And so tonight we're talking about the importance of doing what you got to do in the season that you're in. And so doing what you got to do in the season that you're in. And we talked about last week, quick money. All right. Different things that you can do to make quick money. And we've emphasized throughout the Financial Fridays the importance of stacking that cash and creating a different mentality. So hopefully most of you all who've been with us are working your budgets. Most of you all who's been with us have either started a CD or you're working on a CD. Most of you who are with us either started your money market or you have looked into a money market, that you're taking the information and you're applying it to your life and you're beginning to see results. Remember what we say, little increments, little increments, little increments. So tonight we're talking about work week. About work week. So if we're going to grind, or hustle, because the work week almost can be a hustle because it's not necessarily long term. It could be temporary. But I'm gonna leave you alone about the grind and hustle for tonight.
Don't worry. It's gonna come back up. Yeah, we really gonna talk about it. It's gonna come back up. I know it is. I know it's gonna come back up.
And so let's talk about work week. So we talk about work week, but we talk about the importance of doing what you have to do, whether it's getting a part-time job or a different type of job in this season of your life. It doesn't have to last forever, but in this season, being able to increase your income or stack some cash so there's no stress, no strain, no struggle, is important to begin to look, broaden your perspective when it comes to work week. Talk to us about work week, James.
Okay. So, like all things, I want to say hello to all my grinders and now hustlers.
All right.
So this is Rise and Thrive, and I want to make sure that I am taking the time out to say, hey, y'all, this is Financial Fridays. We're going to talk about a work week. Now, we're not talking about your job or anything like that. We're particularly talking about the additional income and how much you need in order to get things done. Okay? So with Rise and Thrive, the work week, most of our last week we was talking about the quick money or fast money. If you notice throughout the entire time we've been on Financial Fridays, it's been about it's been a formula to how we should structure ourselves. And then it went in how to decrease the amount of money we spend. Now we're on how do we increase the amount of income coming in. Last week we talked about all the quick money or fast cash that people can get in the Uber Eats, DoorDash, virtual assistant, the social media guru, social media website designer, clothing designer, social media expert. And we talked about all those things last week. Now we're talking about the time that you spend in making those things happen. Because even though they are a lot of quick money, you have to put the time in to make sure that they are successful. So the first thing we're going to talk about is part-time. That means you're doing anywhere from 5 to 30 hours to make the quick money work. The next is full-time, from 30 to 40 hours of making the money work, the quick money work. And the last one is overtime, which is 40 plus hours, all the way up to 135 hours of trying to make your quick money work.
Okay, so, now before you go forward, now you said something that's very, very, very important, and that is you said you indicated that it's important to evaluate whether or not what you're doing is working. And so not just to take quick money and start working a quick money thing, whether it's DoorDash or whatever, and then it's not working, but you're trying to grind it out. And so you're saying it's important to look at these things and evaluate whether or not it's working for you or not.
Correct.
Okay. And so what's the best way for them to do that?
Do what you already are doing. I think that's the easiest way for anyone to get started. If you take a hustler or a grinder, the easiest things for us to do are things that we're already doing. If we do a lot of takeout, Uber Eats or DoorDash may be more in our lane. If I'm on Facebook every single day and I know the trends of Facebook, then I may want to be a social media Facebook person. If I'm looking at TikTok and I do a lot of Snapchat, if I do a lot of Instagram, I may want to be a TikTok, Instagram, or Snapchat person, because by doing what you already do, you have a better opportunity to, one, make money, and you're more determined to stay in it longer because you're doing something that's already normal for you. I am not big on TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok account. For me to say, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start doing TikTok 360 days a week, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That's gonna be an impact on my entire livelihood because that's not something I normally do. I can grow into doing it, but to make a commitment like that will be a hindrance at first and then become something smoother. On the flip side, I do a lot of Instagram posts. So me adding a third post onto I'm already doing 2 Instagram posts a day. So I'm averaging about 2 posts a day. If I was to do a third post in Instagram and then have it be about another topic, I'm already doing Instagram. So I don't have to do a setup. I don't have to understand how it works. I'm already doing that. I'm just adding to what I'm already doing.
Okay. All right.
So if you're a grinder or if you're a hustler, the best way to get started, is to do something that you're already doing and you're just adding to. That way you have the longevity built in because you're already doing it. Plus you have the norm, it's called normality, or the normal way of you doing things. You're just adding to.
Right. Okay.
So it's a lot easier to get started.
Okay. All right. Well, come on. Let's talk about these hours that you're working. You laid them out there, and 5 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 135 hours. Lord.
Yes.
Jesus. All right. Let's talk.
The reason why I laugh at that is because I'm gonna get to overtime and people are not gonna like that. So I got it in red.
Okay.
First is 5 hours. If you're working 5 hours a week, you get done with work, then you think about it, then you're working a little bit more, and then you're thinking about it, and then you get the rest. So I'm telling you that because when you get started, the biggest thing you want to do is you want to be thinking a lot more than you're running. Because if you was to take on being a website designer, your biggest goal isn't running. Your biggest goal is getting your name out there, making sure you have a clientele, making sure people understand who you do and what you do. So you'll probably do more thinking and planning before you get out there and start running. And that's the case on almost everything that we can do. If you want to be a social media influencer, if you want to be a DoorDash person, or a food delivery person, or a package delivery person, or a virtual assistant, all of these things take time to get started. So what you want to do, you want to get your name out. That's the motion. That's the guy running. You want to get your name. You want to get out there and start moving. But you also want to take time to think about what you're doing. And that's why the color is blue, or it was blue. It's black now. But that's the reason why it's blue, because this is a nice step for everybody. This is that part-time to full-time opportunity that a lot of people have. By allowing yourself the ability to do 5 hours a week and then to wrap it up to 30 hours gives you a lot more opportunity to understand what you're doing and then to grow from that level. And some of the benefits to this is, some of the benefits to part-time work is, one, you can specify what you want to do and how you want to get there. There's not a lot of people arguing with you because you're building out your portfolio. This is where when it was said, are you a grinding hustler? This is where that comment comes in, because let's say you want to do food delivery, package delivery, and you want to be inside that area. You can do that as a hustler. You can deliver for Uber, you can deliver for Door, you can deliver for Ikea, you can deliver for Pizza Hut, Domino's. You can be all the food delivery drivers you can be in multiple different areas. You just got to plan it out and then execute appropriately. The reason why the last one is always rest, because when you're doing a part-time work, you already have a full-time job, and now you're gonna put a part-time work on top of it. You want to make sure that at the end of the day you are resting.
Okay.
because resting is big and is beneficial to your health, and making sure that you can keep yourself moving at a relatively good pace.
Okay. Now that makes a lot of sense. To me, it does. And that's important to understand that too, because a lot of times we just go through the 5 hours, the 30 hours, and just go through them and not really realize that there is a formula, or there is a certain thing that's happening while you're going through there. Even to the degree that we are more intentional about why we do something and why we need to rest. Now, I have a big challenge with that. Oh, that thing came up again. I have a big challenge with resting. I don't rest well, and a lot of times because I have challenges with my back, and but nevertheless, what you said is that as a result of rest, you're able to go longer and you're able to do other things. So
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. All right.
The
Let me-
ability to rest gives you the ability to recover. The ability to recover gives you your strength. If you
Okay.
take the strongest man that you could ever find and he couldn't go to sleep, he will crumble. And
Okay.
you can take a medium-sized guy, whoever you can find, and
Mhm.
allow him to rest. He can work all day, rest, work again, rest, work again, rest. We call that a regular job. And
Okay.
that's what we want to make sure that we're in the process of doing.
All right.
So if you do pick up postage and you are delivering a lot of stuff, and this is on top of your full time. I just want to make sure I reiterate that. This is on top of your full time. So if you're doing all of this on top of your full time, you want to start off with a relative close pace. And that's why it's 5 hours a week. That's 1 hour every single day. And you're wrapping it up to 30 hours.
Okay. I'll have a little challenge here. I got that spot on there. That spot is just driving me. I don't know what I don't know what that is right there. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Let's see if there's any questions in the chat. And so, hey, Jesse is tuning in with us tonight on our Financial Fridays. Um, Tiffany says yes. Rest, yeah, and rest is very important, and I'm definitely not saying that it's not. Rest is very important because I know when I don't get rest, I can be very irritable, and so I do know rest is important. Let's continue to go forward. I'm gonna go off screen for a minute, and then I'll come back. So go right to your next one.
Okay, will do. Okay, everybody. So when you're looking at part-time, once you ramp up the part-time, now you're at full-time. And I want to make sure that everyone understand that when you go from your part-time, when you go from having a full-time job and now you're doing full-time work, your biggest goal is to sleep and rest. That is your biggest goal. And if you don't do that, you'll be sleeping in the bed and you'll be hoping that you can rest. The goal is not to sleep and hope for rest. The goal is to sleep and be in rest. Because when you start going from a part-time to a full-time job, this is where you're now pulling about 70 to 80 hours a week in just work. So that's why you have two guys, you got two people running. You don't have a lot of time to think, but when you think, you should positively be thinking about keeping yourself balanced, keeping yourself well engaged, and keeping yourself moving. Because when you start running again, you will be in hot pursuit of what you got going on, your vision. And even if it's temporary, you want to make sure that you are collaborating with those around you to make sure you get the support you need. You want to make sure that you have a specialized role, or you are specializing more in what you're doing. Because when you start hitting numbers like 80 hours a week or 70 hours a week or 90 hours a week, you want to make sure that you are doing yourself a service by understanding what you're doing and you're more proficient at it. So don't do 40 hours a week if you're not proficient at what you're doing. And I would dare tell you not to do 30 hours a week unless you know what you're doing, because there's a difference, and most contractors will understand this difference. If you work 40 hours a week but you're not productive, what's the point? It's better for you to work 20 hours a week and be productive than to work 40 hours a week and not be productive. So when you are positioning yourself to work 30 to 40 hours, make sure that time is very productive so you don't burn yourself out.
Now, that's very good information, James. However, realistically, the average person who's working is working because they have to work. And so the average person don't necessarily feel that they have the luxury of whether they are in a position to work 40 hours or not work 40 hours, whether that's an option for them. The average person, I forgot what the statistics said, but there's a statistic out there that says that the majority of people who go to work hate their job.
Yes.
And so, what we're saying tonight is very important, and it makes sense. But then when you say that we have to make sure that we're, position ourselves to be able to do the 40 hours and be productive, that's really not in a scenario for the average person. Productive or non-productive, they working in 40 hours a week, so that at the end of that pay period, they getting that check. And so
Yes.
they can care less about whether they're productive or not productive, only to the degree that it may cost their job. So if they're not being productive and their boss man say, you know what, I get somebody to replace you or whatever. Other than that, I don't think, unless they're grinding for themselves.
Yeah.
Now, when they're grinding for themselves, if they are grinding for themselves in that they don't work for a company or somebody, then that would make more sense for them than it would somebody who's working a regular job. All right.
Yeah.
We got a couple other people tune in. I see the Apostle tune in with us tonight. How you doing, Apostle Young? This is our Financial Fridays, Rise and Thrive. We're teaching people how to rise up out of their survival mode and thrive in their finances. And our goal is to help people to get financial freedom. And I'm here with my co-host, James Jones, the guru of finance. Yes. And so what's your thoughts on that, James? When I say, that, you have one group of people who are grinders, they're doing their own, they are their boss, and they have, and what you're saying is more important for them. And then you have that group that's working a job that they wish they wasn't there, but they need that paycheck.
Oh, I can what's the best way to put this? I wholeheartedly agree that you may hate your job. So, because that's the reason why we're doing the quick money. That's the exact reason. What's the point in leaving a job you hate to go to another job that you hate? Mm-hmm. All you're going to do is burn yourself out. So if you hate your job or you like your job, that's okay. The goal is when you start a second job that's quick money, because you may do this for 6 months, you may do it for 6 years, you may do it until it eliminates the first job. So let's say you hate the job that you're at, but you like, you know what, I can really take on a second job. I'm going to be a baker. And you're really good at baking and you like baking. You start off at 5 hours a week. You're still doing that 40 hours at the job that you don't like, 40 at the job you don't like, but now you're baking at least an hour. You're putting an hour to work to actually bake. That hour that you're baking cakes. Now you got your name out. You did a couple publicities. You set up a table. Now you went from 5 hours. Now you're at 10 hours that you're designing just cakes. when you get there, and now you're like, I'm doing really good, I got to make a leap. I need to be doing this full time. That's the reason why I was very diligent about being productive with your time. Because if you got to work 40 hours for somebody that you don't like, for a company that you're not in alignment with, when you take your quick money or your side hustle or your second grind, I want you to be caring about it and be passionate about it. That way you can deal with it. That way you can stay in longer. So if I didn't say that correctly, I'm gonna make sure everybody knows this is on top of that job that you may or may not like.
No, you said it correctly. You know,
oh, gotcha.
I'm just putting that other spin on there, and I'll go even further. Mr. Effort says the Gallup says 85% of the people hate their jobs. 85%, 85% of people that work hate their job. But let me take it a step further. You know, it's not that you're not saying it right. I'm the advocate for the other side. You know.
Oh, gotcha.
And now, from my experience, there are people who are very gifted and talented at, you say, baking, you know, and they're very passionate about it. And so they decide now, without doing the math, you know, they decide they're going to leave their job and go into full-time baking. Yeah. And then they leave their job and they go into full-time baking only to slack off and not be diligent. And then now they are in financial trouble of losing their vehicle, their home, or whatever, because they don't have the income coming in that they did on that job. And for some reason, when they work a job, they're giving their all, but when they're working for themselves, they slacking off.
Ooh, that's ooh. I have actually witnessed somebody thinking that they was going to do that, and my recommendation was to them at that time. They didn't listen, but my recommendation to them was, do not do that. You're setting yourself up for the odds of you making it is catastrophic that you will fail. When I say it is almost, and I know everybody like those nice Disney stories where everybody make it and we all happy at the end, but that's not the numbers. The numbers tell us that if you was to leave your job and be like, I'm gonna be a baker and I'm gonna make it work, right? The likelihood of you making that, you probably have a better chance of winning the lottery at a state lottery than you would at making it. It's just the numbers aren't there. So that's the reason why I'm telling everybody, I'm recommending, I guess that's because I don't want to be all overbearing, but I am recommending for your livelihood and not for your hopes and dreams, but just for your livelihood. If you work a job and that job is bringing in money and income and you're sustaining yourself, the best way for you to grow is to grow in increments. And I gotta stress that it's increments. If you now you're now doing a part-time work, you're doing 5 hours. That's one additional hour out of your day to make sure that you're investing in your vision, or investing in something in which you're good at and something in which you can do. That's what the part-time work is.
Okay. And so
as you grow, then you go from part-time to full-time.
So the numbers, and Pastor Powell said this, that in actuality, let's say you making $10 on your job.
Yeah.
And then you start your bakery on the side, you're baking, and now you making $5 with your bakery. You know, in order to leave that job, you have to be making $15, you know, with your bakery. You have to be making what you made on that job and what you made on the side with that bakery. You have to be making that total before you could even consider walking away, because you will be at a disadvantage. If you walk away from that $10 and you ain't making $10, you just lost $10 worth of income, which is going to put a hardship on you. And if your bakery is not, you know, the $5 that you make it with the bakery is what you need to keep the bakery going, then if you walk away from the $10, then you just put yourself in a financial hardship.
Yes.
So from a math standpoint, when you're thinking about leaving your job to pursue your passion, or you start this second job or this second part-time job or whatever it is to supplement your income so you can stack some cash and you love it, don't get so excited to the degree that you walk away from that other job. Not yet. Say not yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Just
the math is not there. The math
is not there. Right. If the math ain't there, we throwing it out. If the math ain't there, we throwing it out. All right.
Yeah, I am very big on math numbers, so don't worry. I will tell you how do you get rid of your job, right. and he's already on the right track. Pastor's on the right track. We will get there. Okay.
All right. Come on. Let's keep grinding it out.
Okay. Cool. Right now we're at full time. Full time is where you're working. You're working your regular job for 40 hours and your passion or your part-time or your quick money, you're doing 30 to 40 productive hours in that. That means you're doing a total of 70 to 80 hours a week. I've done that before. Actually, I've done more than 80 hours a week, but we will get to that. I will talk more about that. When you're getting in this level, this is where you must assess if your quick money or your passion or your investment or your dream job is producing enough income that your job that you hate or the job that you don't like or the job you can get rid of, is that job on the chopping block? And the answer is it's about the numbers. If your job brings in $40,000 a year and your side hustle brings in $40,000 a year, you are not prepared to use an income outside of that job. Your side hustle needs to bring in about 1.5 or 150% more. So if your side hustle is running $60,000 and your regular job is running $40,000, that's when you can start putting your job on the chopping block to being eliminated. I want to make sure I get that out there because I'm like, ooh, it's a number. It's an actual number that is calculatable. And once you hit that number, put your 2 weeks in and keep going. Right. The reason I say that because people oftentimes say, well, if I'm making 40 hours here and I'm making 40 hours here, I don't need this job. And the sad truth is, if you're making 40 hours here and you're making 40 hours at your second job, when you get rid of that first job, you will realize that you actually got more, you actually need that job for more than what you think it is. Because a lot of times that full-time job has things in it that has insurance, healthcare, dental, vision. The reason why people may hate their job and still be there is that there's a lot of intrinsic benefits that go along with that. Mm-hmm. So don't just say money for money and then leave. Make sure you put in more money and you're getting more money from your side venture or your passion or your investment before you eliminate the job. Yeah, because health insurance is expensive. Dental is relatively cheap. Vision is cheap, but these are all benefits that you get from being at a job.
Yeah. I love that Mr. Simone said, don't leave your job until the math is mathing. Yeah, that's it. Till the math is math. The math got to be mathing. You know? Now, going back to what you're saying, you got 40 hours and then you got 40 hours and then you leave your job. I mean, that's easy math. You got 40 hours and 40 hours. That's 80 hours. So you got 80 hours worth of income coming in and you leave your job and now you only got 40 hours of income. You just lost 40 hours of income.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's easy math. Yeah. The math got to be mathing.
Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes I was guilty of it too. So let me just put a claimer in there. When you're making $36,000 a year, right? Because I think I was making like $36,000, and then additional income started flowing in. Guess what? Sometimes happen. Now it happened to me. It may not happen to you, but it happened to me. So let me tell you the caution. That income becomes regular income. like I was making 30. Now I got this additional income. It's just one big pot.
Right.
And now I'm utilizing all of that money to sustain myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm utilizing all that money in order to furnish what I got going on. And it's not really divided. It's more like I get this from the job, I'm getting this from my secondary, and these are all the bills I'm paying. This is what we're doing, this is where we're going. Mm-hmm. And if that is to happen to you, you want to make sure that you are actually taking note. How much is this job putting in? How much money am I actually utilizing? How much is this job covering? So when I say the job typically covers your insurance, it typically covers your dental, it typically covers your vision, it typically has a retirement plan built in, it typically has a death policy built in. If you don't know these things, you gotta read the numbers and say, okay, well, my health insurance is through my job, the job that I don't want. The dental is through the job that I don't want. So when you start making those moves to separate one and to cancel out the job that you don't want, you got to have a dental plan in place. You got to have an insurance plan in place. You got to have vision in place. You should have death benefits in place. So when you remove this job, you can still live life. Mm-hmm. Now, when that job left, I mean, dropping about $30,000 is a hardship. You don't know until you like, where did this extra money that I had left? Well, it left with the job,
right?
And then you got to scramble yourself back together again, because now you're not working 80 hours, you're back working 40, mm-hmm. but you're working 40 hours on something that you want to do, and now you have the opportunity to expand.
Okay,
and I will talk more about that in the last slide.
So that's good. That's good, because the whole idea tonight is to help people to understand the importance of doing what you got to do in the season that you're in. And a lot of times people don't want to take an extra job. A lot of times people don't realize when they do have extra money coming in, if it gets incorporated with your regular spending money, you don't see that money. And it's important that we be conscious of that and very intentional. We already said it early on. We have to give our money an assignment. You got to give your money an assignment. There has to be a reason why you're accumulating money,
Yes.
And so that's so important, because most of us, if not all of us, at some point do that. The money that right now, I struggle with the money that I do save. Like when I go and choose where I go buy gas at, and I save, a certain amount of money by going buying gas at this place. Well, maybe it's only $10 or something. I don't see that money, or I go to the store now, I'll ask about coupons, or I'll check and then I'll find a coupon that gets some money off. And then, I don't see that money. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to get to a place where I'm purpose when it comes to the money that I do save, small or large, that is showing up somewhere else, that I'm able to track it and say, okay, this money is growing, and it's growing because I'm using coupons, because I'm being careful where I buy gas at, and taking advantage of the different things that I've learned. And so now that's on a small scale, but that happens on a large scale too. You go and you get somebody drop, you get your taxes, and then all of a sudden they get incorporated with everything else that you're doing. And at the end, you don't have no tax money, and you don't have, you unuse it in your regular living. It's the same thing happen with other windfalls that come in. You get a windfall that come in, and all of a sudden you get an extra, 10 grand out of somewhere. Somebody, leave it to you, or whatever the case may be, and then it'll get infused with your regular money, and then it's gone, and we can go on and on. So I think most of us do that, but we have to discipline ourselves and become more conscious of a desire to stack that cash. I get Lady Bird make me a shirt, stack that cash.
But you are telling the truth, Pastor. You are definitely telling the truth. We as a body of people, because I don't think that I'll just be flawless up here. I wasn't flawless when I first started. I'm not flawless now. Everyone makes mistakes. So, and I'm not telling you that you have to be flawless. I'm saying give your money an assignment. That's not saying you'll be perfect. It means you'll give your money an assignment.
Yeah.
Yes, you may make a mistake and buy a cheeseburger. Don't worry about it. If you're mindful about what you're doing, you will see the difference in what you're doing through consistency.
Yeah. That cash. Listen, McKnight is joining us tonight. How you doing, McKnight? Listen, welcome to Rise and Thrive. We are Financial Fridays, where we are rising up out of our financial slumps, and we are thriving in financial freedom. And so we welcome you tonight. We're talking about the importance of doing what you have to do in the seasons that you're in, and sometimes that means taking on another job or taking on a part-time job, or being more diligent in your personal your own business, as a secondary thing, because you can have a business as a secondary job to your regular job, but being diligent in that secondary business, and being purpose, looking at, okay, what can I do to grow my business? How can I increase my customer base? How can I tap into more? How can I bring in more through my business? That's the same thing as those hours you're talking about, right? And how you structure that, because the bottom line is, you're saying make sure that we're being productive, and we're not just doing stuff just to be doing it.
Yes.
Come on. If the math ain't mathing, we throwing it out. we throwing it out. All right. Stack that cash. Come on, James. What we got left? We got about.
Yep, we got one more. We got one more slide. Okay, everybody. Now this is where you want. This is where you don't want to be.
Oh, you going to the red slide?
Yeah. This is the red slide. Now, if you're in this position, I am warning you. If you have a full-time job and you're working over 40 hours, and when I say over 40 hours, you can work as high as 135 hours. That's literally 168 hours make up a week. If you minus 35 hours, if you minus about 32, 34 hours, you'll be at 135 hours. It's just math is mathing. Okay. So the most you can probably do in a week is 135 hours. Okay. If you work in sun up to sundown, you will burn out. And when I say burnout, I mean you will burn out fast. So if you do this, if you have a full-time job, you leave your full-time job to work another full-time job, you leave that full-time job to pursue another passion, I'm telling you, that is temporary purposes only. I do mean temporary. That's like driving on the freeway with that spare tire that everybody know that is a spare tire. That is temporary purposes only. All right, now, can you do it? Yes. I see people on the highway all the time with a temporary tire trying to go 80. But is that proficient? Is that what they need to do? No. They need to get a new tire. So I'm telling you, if you have or you're working a full-time job and you're supplementing that with another job and you're working over 40 hours, make that a temporary thing, because if you get up and you're running and then your midday is running and your afternoon is running and your rest time is running, and then you have time when you're driving, is the only time you can think about doing something, and that's time you're thinking, and then when you get back you're still running, because remember, if you have kids or family or anybody that wants your time, that's what it's going to be. So when you get to the end of the day, you're thinking about resting, and you're thinking about when you rest, you're thinking about when you sleep, because when you sleep, you'll be able to rest. But if you're working that much, you're not going to be able to do that. So it has to be temporary.
Wow. You just described my work week. Only difference is I need to be clocking them hours. I need to clock somewhere. I punch in those hours. I'm missing out on some cash there. 130 hours a week.
You got to stack that cash.
Well, listen, that's I do that ouch. I'm just gonna say ouch, because I run like that and I'm not getting paid like that. So I need to make some adjustments. But y'all heard it. I see Brian tuned in. What's up, Brian? Welcome to Rise and Thrive. Yeah, we're excited that you're with us tonight. While we're rising out of our financial slumps and thriving in our financial freedom. Yeah, and so
Yes.
we've been talking about tonight doing what you got to do. In the season that you're in, and your best days are always ahead of you. So it's not going to last forever, but you have to be willing to do what you have to do in the season that you're in. All right. Well, we're almost out of time. Did we make it through all of our lesson tonight?
Yes, we did, but we have one more thing.
All right.
No, not for me. We have the course is coming up.
Huh?
Mention the course.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so let's go back to that slide again. That's a very powerful slide. And wow, man, I'm gonna have to screenshot that slide. And let me screenshot that slide right quick, because I know I run a lot. I mean, I run from one thing to the next thing, but it seems like the more that I try or desire to, there you go, I got it. I desire to slow down or to shift. It seems like the more stuff ends up on my plate. And so that's so important. If you're like that, whether you're getting paid for it or not, and you're running like that, that's not healthy. And we have to find balance. We have to find balance. Chris is tuning in tonight. What's up, Chris? Thanks for tuning in to another Rise and Thrive, where we're rising out of our financial slump, and we are thriving in our financial freedom. It's all about financial freedom. Yeah, our finances don't tell us where we go on vacation. We tell our finances. Amen?
Amen.
Yeah. You better talk to me tonight. So tonight we've been talking about the importance of doing what you have to do in the season that you're in, because there is a way. The Bible said there is no temptation taking us, but such is common to man. It said God is faithful. He would not allow us to be tempted, tested, or tribulation or trial above that which we're able to bear, and he always make a way to escape. And so you got to know that. You got to know that it's important that whatever situation you in is not the end, and there is a way out. The small increments, but your best days are ahead of you. All right. Well, listen, we're about out of time. But before we leave, I definitely want to introduce to you or share with you again on next Saturday, the 23rd of March, is going to be our Beyond the Walls Business Network. And the Beyond the Walls Business Network have been presenting these workshops every fourth Saturday for 6 months. And this is going to be number 3, I believe. And they have done some very powerful workshops. The workshop is $25. It includes a workbook and lunch. And we've been talking about a whole lot of different things. And this Financial Friday, Beyond the Walls Business Network, Saturday 23rd from 9 to 3, we're going to be talking about funding your dreams. And so a lot of times you have businesses that you've started on the side, but you have not figured out a way to fund them. And a lot of times people use their own funds to fund their business. And sometimes because they don't have the funding, they can't expand their business, and their business becomes a hobby. And so this Beyond the Walls Business Network workshop is going to be about bootstrapping and fundraising strategies. And so you want to be part. We have Darwin Moore is going to be with us. He is a financial strategist and a speaker. And I'm telling you, he did a cameo appearance on one of our workshops. And Lady B and I have been using those tips that we learned, and it has really changed our lives. We got rid of 2. Well, we didn't close the accounts, but we paid 2 credit cards off, and a substantial amount using his idea. And so he's going to be our workshop leader. And so you want to make sure that you're at this one, and plan to be there the whole time. Don't be making a cameo appearance. Plan to be there. I don't know what you have to do on that day, but I'm telling you, the information that you get, if you put it to practice in your life, and whatever you leave it to do is not going to be um, substantial to what you're going to receive. All right.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen. Well, this has been another great Rise and Thrive. So, what's some of your closing comments, James?
I did want to add to that. So if you do pay off a credit card or you pay it down, do not close it.
Okay.
The reason why you don't close it is because you still have credit history. If you close it, you lose all that history. So all that time you spent buying a bunch of stuff and then paying all that stuff down, if you close your credit card account, you lose all that credit history. So once you raise it all up and you pay it down to zero, or you pay it down to $1 or $2, you want to make sure that you keep it at a very low rate. But you keep, as long as you keep it open, you still maintain that credit history. So it's really good that you did not close it out.
So keeping the account open, does that mean I have to use it?
Not necessarily. So most of the time when you say use it, if you're talking about I gotta buy my groceries once every 6 months with the credit card to keep it active, yes, that's what I'm saying by using it.
Okay.
But it has a lot of benefits that I can go into next week because we're about to run out of time. But it's a lot of benefits to keeping your credit cards open. Okay. It's a lot of benefits.
Awesome. Well, listen, I pray that you all who have been tuning in, you can always go back and look at some of the previous broadcasts. And I pray that you are taking the information and you put it into work. I mean, I'm not just saying what I'm saying. You hear every week I'm talking about something that's working for me. And so I'm on my way. And when we begin to talk about making 6 figures next month, I want to be positioned. To make 6 figures. Now, with the information that's coming out on the Make a 6 Figure book, James, do you believe I can take that information, and if I'm diligent, that I'll be able to get 6 figures by the end of this year?
Yeah. I mean, the guide is there to be practical. Is there to be a very practical guide. How do you make 6 figures? Well, this is how you make 6 figures, and it's all math. It's math based. Okay. So you can take this and you can give it to a teenager. You can take it and give it to a preschooler. If they know how to do math, they can look and help you get there. Now, the reason why I say that, because kids are highly intelligent, and if we just allow them to utilize their skills properly, we can see how well versed they are with technology. So we I like those suckers. You know what I'm saying? I like kids. I like kids.
And you when you say that, you're saying that the practical information is user friendly.
Yes.
And so the biggest thing is you just have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I tell you that, it got to be a commitment. It can't be something like, oh, it didn't work in the first month. It's not designed to. It's designed to change a mindset, and that mindset is how you do math to make money. That's pretty much.
Now, I'm gonna see if she can throw that up there right quick. We got 3 minutes. I'm gonna see if she can. I just sent her the book cover. See if she can put that book cover up there and whet the appetite. We're gonna whet that.
That's gonna be.
Dude, I'm trying to type now. All right. So, what's your closing comments?
I wish for all y'all, I wish for all of us to understand financial literacy and to do what we have to do, even if that is to become a grinding hustler or a hustler that grinds.
Okay. All right. And grinding, a hustler that grinds could be a matter of connecting and networking with grinders. It doesn't necessarily mean that the hustler have to grind. He can grind through somebody like Thomas Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Now, that was that's a draft. I don't know if you approved the cover yet. I don't know if our administrator got my cover. I texted my cover to the administrator. I was going to see if she can put it up there for. I'm excited about it. We got a couple more weeks, and we should be ready to go to print. And yeah. All right. Well, listen. We'll have to put it up on the next one. Rise and thrive. I pray you guys. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat before we close out. And yes, go to dr80burns.com/events to register for the workshop on March 23rd. So that's dr80burns/ dr80burns.com/events. I need you to register. I need you to register so I can know how much lunch to have and how many workbooks to have. And so I need you to register. All right. Yes. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. And so this has been another Financial Friday. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all on next week for another Financial Friday where we are rising from financial slumps and we are thriving in our financial freedom. James, you want to close us out?
Y'all have a good day.
All right.
Oh.